Hello guys and welcome to TechWolf, and we are going to do CompTIA A Core 1 practice test. Before we dive in, I would like to advertise or promote my Udemy course, which I have created for you guys, where you will get practice tests for Core 1 and Core 2. As some of you asked me why there is no Udemy course for Core 1 questions and Core 2 combined in one. Why we always on Udemy we create one course for Core 1, for example, and another course with questions for Core 2. So here you go guys, here you have a Udemy course for the latest Core 1 and Core 2 exams, which is 1201, or to be precise, this is 220-1201 and 220-1202. And these are multiple choice questions which you can practice for yourself. Let's get into the questions. And first question is: a desktop PC fails to power on after a storm, but the outlet works. What's the first component to check? Motherboard BIOS, CPU cooler, RAM modules, power supply unit, or graphics card. And here the correct answer is power supply unit, as a storm may damage the power supply, so checking it ensures power delivery. And next question: a client needs scalable cloud storage for a remote team. Which cloud characteristic supports this? Multi-tenancy, elasticity, dedicated resources, high availability, or shared resources. And for your CompTIA A Core 1, especially for this one, which is 220-1201, you should also have a better knowledge about cloud, because this is the exam, one of the first one, which is concentrating, or which has largely or more larger than in previous exams, concentrating on cloud. And here the correct answer is elasticity, as elasticity allows cloud storage to scale dynamically, and it is ideal for varying team needs. And next question: a desktop PC needs 4 TB SATA HDD for video storage. What must be verified before installation? So if you would want to install 4 TB of hard disk drive, what must be verified before this type of installation? CPU core count, motherboard SATA port compatibility, power supply wattage, GPU memory capacity, or BIOS firmware version. And here the correct answer would be motherboard SATA port compatibility, as verifying SATA port compatibility ensures the hard disk drive connects and functions. A technician assigns a static IP to a printer for consistent access. Which protocol reserves the IP on the router? NAT, DNS, DHCP, VLAN, or QoS, or quality of service. And here the correct answer would be DHCP reservation, as DHCP reservation assigns a specific IP to the printer's MAC address, ensuring consistency. An Android tablet fails to connect to a corporate Wi-Fi network. The SSID is visible and the password is correct. So this means that if we will check our Wi-Fi connections, we are able to see the provider or Wi-Fi name, which is SSID, and the password is correct. What's the most likely issue to check? Bluetooth interference, incorrect screen brightness, outdated Android version, faulty SIM card, or Wi-Fi band compatibility, 2.4 GHz with 6 GHz. And here the correct answer is we should check Wi-Fi band compatibility, as the tablet may not support the 6 GHz band, so checking compatibility ensures connection. A laptop's display flickers intermittently across applications and resolutions. What is the first troubleshooting step, or what is the first troubleshooting step here? Update the graphics driver, replace the laptop's battery, run a display diagnostic tool, check the display cable connection to the motherboard, or adjust the screen refresh rate. And here the correct answer would be check the display cable connection to the motherboard, as flickering often results from loose display cables addressed by checking the connection. So if we would check this connection, maybe that's all what is causing this trouble, and this is also the easiest solution. A technician sets up a VM or virtual machine to test an application requiring the direct hardware access. Which hypervisor type is best? And here you should also know the types of hypervisor, and there are two major types of hypervisors which you should know. So correct answers are type 1 hypervisor, type 2 hypervisor, cloud-based hypervisor, container-based virtualization, or hybrid hypervisor. And here let's read the question again, and here we are seeing as a technician sets up a virtual machine to test an application requiring a direct hardware access. So straight away we are not talking about any cloud-based hypervisors, as we are talking about hypervisor which is capable of accessing hard metal or directly our computer. And in this scenario, the correct answer is type 1 hypervisor. As type 2 hypervisors, these are usually those which you can install on your operating system. As an example could be VirtualBox, which you are installing, for example, on your Windows environment. This means that is using type 2 hypervisor, where type 1 hypervisors are those which are installing or pretty much integrated directly on the hardware itself, as type 1 hypervisors run directly on hardware, offering better performance for direct access. A technician is installing a CPU into a AM5 socket motherboard. What ensures proper installation? Apply thermal paste to the socket, install the CPU fan before the CPU, set the CPU voltage in BIOS first, remove the motherboard from the case, or align the CPU's pin 1 marker with the socket's marker. And here the correct answer is align CPU's pin 1 marker with the socket's marker, as aligning the pin 1 marker prevents the damage and ensures correct orientation. As you know, if you have been holding in your hand like CPU or central processing unit, there are small kind of needles which need to fit directly into the socket. A small Office's Windows 11 PC cannot connect to the internet via Ethernet. The cable is plugged in and the router is operational. What's the first troubleshooting step? And here we are talking about small Office Windows 11 PC which cannot connect to the internet via Ethernet. And if we are talking about via Ethernet rather than via Wi-Fi, this means that through cables. So Ethernet is cables, where Wi-Fi is if we are using a Wi-Fi access. So Windows 11 PC or personal computer cannot connect to the internet via cables. The cable is plugged in and the router is operational. What's the first troubleshooting step? Check the Ethernet adapter status in the device manager. Replace the Ethernet cable. We would replace the cable altogether. Restart the router. We would restart the router. Run a ping test to the gateway. This means that we would open CMD or command prompt and we would run a ping test. We would ping our gateway address, which we can find by ipconfig, or update the router firmware, which would be the correct answer here. And the correct answer would be check the Ethernet adapter's status in the device manager. As Checking the Ethernet adapter status verifies hardware recognition and driver functionality. A technician is configuring corporate-issued iPhone 14 for a new employee under a BYOD or Bring Your Own Device policy requiring specific security settings. What's the first step to enforce these settings? Install a third-party antivirus app, configure mobile device management or MDM profiles, update the iOS to the latest version, enable Bluetooth pairing restrictions, or reset the device to factory settings. And here the correct answer would be configure mobile device management or MDM profiles, as MDM profiles enforces security settings like password requirements and app restrictions. A user wants to connect a modern smartphone with a USB-C port to an older car stereo that only has an AUX 3.5mm audio jack input for playing music. Which type of adapter or cable is required? A USB-C to USB-A adapter. And even when before you are approaching this question or these answers, you should straight away start thinking that on car we have 3.5mm audio jack, and you should start thinking about what user wants to connect. So he wants to connect a smartphone with USB-C port. So we would need to connect USB-C port to 3.5mm AUX audio jack. USB-C to USB-A adapter, USB-C to HDMI adapter, USB-C to Ethernet adapter, USB-C to 3.5mm audio cable or adapter, Bluetooth adapter for the car stereo, or FM transmitter. Which would be the correct answer here? I already, or before we started looking at answers, I already gave you the correct answer. As this is how you should approach these questions, because in some scenarios the question could look very complicated, but if you understand the question, like I'm always mentioning in my videos, first think before you even approach to the answers, try to understand the question. If you will not understand the question fully and you will get more answers, or you will start reading answers, you will just create a house in your head. So don't ever approach the answers before you understand the question or what this question is asking, as otherwise you will just create more chaos in your head. If you will run through the question, you will not understand it, and then you will fill up your head with some answers, and then you will have to start over, and you will just on your real exam be losing time. So better read the question. If you didn't understand it first time, read it one more time. And once you understand the question, only then approach the multi-choice answers. And that will give you much more chance to answer this or that question correctly on your real exam. So here the correct answer is USB-C to 3.5mm audio cable or adapter. As at start I already explained you how I am thinking when I am approaching these types of questions. So first one, we understand what we have and to where we want to connect, and when we understand it, then when we read through answers we straight away are able to get to the correct answer. And in this scenario, USB-C to 3.5mm audio cable or adapter. A USB-C to 3.5mm audio cable or an adapter that converts the USB-C port to the smartphone to a 3.5mm audio jack is required for direct wired audio connection to the car stereo's aux input. And next question, a technician needs to implement a network topology where all devices connect to a central hub or switch. Which topology is this? And you should also know all topologies or network topologies which are out there. And they are all pretty much listed here. Mesh, bus, ring, star, tree, or hybrid. And we are talking about most used even now in our days. This is also the most used topology, and that is a star. As In the start topology, all devices in the network connect to a central hub or switch. This central device manages communication between the connected devices. And like I was mentioning, guys, if you are interested, you can take my full Udemy course. I have there 730 questions for this latest exam, and I will leave all links in description and in first pinned comment of this video. So as you can go to skilltestpro.com and you can also take some tests here, as not all questions are here member questions. You can get absolutely free here also lots of different tests for different examinations for CompTIA, Microsoft, Cisco and many others. Next question. Which of the following is common type of memory used in entry-level network switches for basic packet forwarding and MAC address table storage? DDR4 RAM, SODIMM, SDRAM, ASIC embedded memory, flash memory, or EEPROM. So which one is the correct answer here? And here the correct answer is ASIC embedded memory, as entry-level network switches often have memory embedded with their application-specific integrated circuits. So ASIC stands for application-specific integrated circuits, and when we are talking about switches, you will hear it a lot of times, especially if you will be approaching networking. You will think about the switch, and when you will think about the switch, you will straight away think about ASICs. That is specifically designed for packet forwarding and storing the MAC address table. This memory is optimized for these networking tasks. And you know for yourself, the switches is forwarding data between different networking devices which are connected to it, for example between different computers or router and different computers in local area network, based on MAC addresses, and this MAC address table is stored in the switch itself. Which of the following is common type of port used for connecting a docking station to a modern laptop for expanding its connectivity? VGA, Ethernet or RJ45. Like I was mentioning, when you hear a word Ethernet, you straight away think about wires, about cables, about wired network, as Ethernet is cables or internet transferred through cables. Or when we are talking about Wi-Fi, this means that internet is transferred through Wi-Fi, or this is our wireless internet. So Ethernet and Wi-Fi, two different things when internet is being transferred wirelessly. HDMI, USB Type A, USB-C, Thunderbolt or DisplayPort Alt mode. And here you should also know about Thunderbolt, as Thunderbolt is not a connector type, or it is not a wire or cable type. It is a technology which is being transferred through some particular cable. And audio jack 3.5mm. So which one is the correct answer here? And here the correct answer is USB-C, as through USB-C you can transfer different data types, and one of them is also a Thunderbolt, as modern laptops often connect to docking stations via USB-C port that supports Thunderbolt. As you can see, that supports Thunderbolt or DisplayPort alternate mode. And I am just highlighting these things, as I understand that many of you who would be taking this type of test, and these things will be asked in CompTIA A Core 1 exam. So these interfaces provide high bandwidths along the docking station to offer multiple video outputs, USB ports, Ethernet and other connectivity options through a single connection. This is when we are talking about USB-C. And next question, a technician needs to configure a wireless access point or AP. As you know, wireless access points are also known as AP or simply access point, to provide basic internet access. Which of the following setting is minimally required? MAC address filtering, SSID or SSIDs are also network names which you see whenever you are opening, for example, your Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi connect or your internet connections. You would see this SSID if you would want to select some network provider to which, or network name to which you would want to connect. QoS, quality of service, static IP address for the AP access point. Remember AP access point, or also known as WAP or wireless access point. Firewall rules or VPN configuration. And which one is the correct answer here? And here the correct answer, as we look at the question again, a technician needs to configure wireless access point IP to provide basic internet access. Which of the following setting is minimally required? And minimally is required SSID network name, as the SSID or service set identifier or network name is essential for wireless clients to be able to see and connect to the wireless access point.